in the town, you refused to support that change. Can you explain why?
Yeah, I'd be happy to explain why, and it's got nothing to do with whether I am the liaison for some sort of a phantom safety thing, which is really the responsibility of the state police and the sheriffs who patrol that road. But that's a state road, and by default, I believe state speed limit should be 55. And I didn't believe that the density of the population or any possible hazards along that road warranted a lower speed limit. While we're on the subject of speed limits, you can ask the folks up on Burns Road, which is basically a road that only serves people on that road, and I introduced a resolution recently at the request of those residents who asked for it by petition to lower the speed limit from 55 to 40, because I felt in that instance it made sense. I didn't think that your request made sense.
We've heard what Pete said about the Emergency Preparedness Committee and being liaison to that. I also was liaison to that when I was a town board member. And I see, Irene, that you have on your palm card that you will, quote unquote, restart the Emergency Preparedness Committee. I wonder if you could tell us how you see the town board's role in that kind of citizen-based committee.
Sure, thanks for asking. Well, I think that the town does have a definite role. Again, this is a place where Pete and I differ in terms of our view that the town does have a role and responsibility to protect the safety and welfare of the people who live here. I've talked with Beth Harrington, who's not only was the liaison from the Emergency Preparedness Committee to the board, or vice versa. The board worked with her. She also works for emergency preparedness for the county. She's been very relieved to hear that I'm interested in starting an emergency preparedness committee again, as has been Greg Harrington, as have been the fire chiefs and instructional directors over at the Brooktondale Brooktondale Fire Department. They say that it's a missing piece, that they need the coordination, and further I've been informed that actually by not having this committee and the work in place, that were certain kinds of emergencies to occur, we would not be eligible, or we could be at risk financially to not be reimbursed because we don't have the plan in place that they would need to see. So it's a very important role, and I do plan to rekindle it.
Yes, the gentleman way in the back.
Yeah, I got a question for Aaron, Colby, and Irene. What do you guys think about zoning?
It's actually come up a lot when I've been going door to door. People ask me what I think about zoning. And honestly, I look at it, if you're going to start a society, all right, you would maybe, hey, we're going to have this over here, this over there, and you could maybe think about having zoning if you're starting a society. But here we are in Caroline, we don't have zoning. I think it would be very difficult and, for me, ill-advised to implement zoning into the town of Caroline. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Yeah, Nate, thanks for the question. I think, as I've said over and over, that this town will have zoning when 95% of the people in this town want it to be zoned. And until that time comes, I really don't see this town being zoned.
Agreed. I think it's a hot-button issue in this town. I know that it's very contentious, and at this point I don't know of any reason why we would need to move in that direction. If at such point there were a compelling reason, it would be something to consider, and I think that, again, my responsibility as a board member is to take into consideration the safety and well-being of the community and its financial future. And if I thought that either of those things were jeopardized, it would be something to consider, but I wouldn't do it lightly.
That's the lady in the green top.
My name's Ann Bain. One of the things that's occurred to me that handicaps us a little as we're talking about gas drilling is that it's not happening here yet. And our imaginations are lacking what that might be like. I want to know from each of you, if you've been over to see our neighbors in Bradford County, if you haven't been, why not? And if you have, who you've talked to, and exactly what you've learned that's influenced the position you take on fracking.
Yes, I have been down in Bradford County. I went through Towanda and then went east of there over to Wyalusing. Spent a lot of time up in the hills. Who did I speak to? I didn't speak to anyone official. I spoke to waitresses. I spoke to a couple of other people, but mostly I went down there to have my eyes open and to look and to see what was going on. And what we saw when we were down there was we saw some truck traffic. I saw trucks loading up with water at a pump station that was drawing water out of the Susquehanna River. Saw several wellheads, saw several impoundment ponds, saw the roads, the condition of the roads, saw a lot of what was going on down there. So.
And what did it, how did I let the other people answer the question before you asked follow-up?
Well, our question was a two-part question, and then you wanted to know how did I feel about what I saw? The roads were roads that we would wish that we had in this county. There was some truck traffic. Everything seemed orderly. I didn't see anything that made me fearful.
I've been through, or to and through Pennsylvania on several occasions. Last summer, I was down in the southwest portion of Pennsylvania, where drilling has been going on now for quite a while, and it was quite stunning to me, the level of traffic. It literally took me close to an hour to get from one exit where I thought, geez, should I get off here? The traffic looks bad, to get to the next exit to get off. The truck traffic was that bad. I have recently been down to Bradford County, to Towanda, to Wyalusing, and several of the towns in Bradford County. I've seen an active frac site. I've seen an active drilling job. I've seen a water impoundment that was well, in the 15 minutes that I was there, I counted 14 trucks that came to fill. It was a good ways away. I would guess probably half a mile to a mile. It was kind of down in the valley. I could see it from the hilltop. And just like we have in our valleys here and in our areas, the sound echoes. And you could hear those trucks as they downshifted, as they went down to the impoundments. I talked with farmers who have had very distressing experiences with their cows, with their water. And my time is up. I'd be happy to talk with people more.
I got a confession to make. I love trucks. In 2009, I guess, late 2009, I took a couple trips down to the Montrose, Dimmock, Springvale areas. Those were on weekends, so didn't really see a lot of activity going on, but there was still movement, and there was certainly drilling sites at all stages of lifespan. I mean, there were some excavations starting right fresh on the hillsides. There were drills that were set up. There were wells that were all finished, little fence around, pipes and stuff sticking up, with the new, the driveway in there and all the new grass seed. This spring, Bill Crispell and I took 1 or 2 trips down into the Wysock-Wyalusing area, and that was during the week. And so we got to talk to some drivers, and we got to talk to some landowners. Probably the most interesting conversation we had, actually, was with a landowner who had leased his property to the gas company to put in some kind of a holding pond, I guess. And he got paid a nice sum of money for it, and he was really very angry about it because he thought that they kind of messed him up. Sorry I can't go on, but I'll talk some more.
Yeah, I went down to Granville Township. I bicycled down. Don't recommend it. And I almost got hit by trucks a couple of times. But I stayed with a really nice farmer, George Kingsley. And it was just great. I got to spend a couple of days with him in his house. His daughter lived in the house right next door to him. I drank some of her water. She was like, wow, you and the guy from National Geographic are the only people to ever to drink that water. Because there was so much nasty stuff in it that she showed me. But I'm okay. One thing that I really saw that, when people talk about, your question about what turned you off about gas drilling. One thing was I talked to a farmer who, gas drilling came in, he quit farming because he could get a job running trucks. Like I said, I want to bring people back to farming, not give them, So, another thing was the disrespect towards the landowners. I think, there are some landowners here in this area who, have a positive thought about gas drilling. But one thing I saw was the disrespect that the gas companies gave the landowners. And that really made me sick. And that's something I do not want to see. Me personally, I don't think I would ever lease my land. But if you are in lease, I want to at least see you respected. So.
One simple question. It's all about money. Our taxes come from land. Our money that runs the town comes from land. I want to know how much land each one of you own. Thank you. I'm Bill Criswell. What's left of it?
Bill, I own less than half an acre. And I've said this before at board meetings, and I'll say it again. I recognize the privilege that I have as a small landowner to be able to enjoy the land that you and other large landowners have paid for, have worked on. And I honestly pledge to you, I think it's very important that we find some way to work together and make it so that you can continue to keep the land that I know you care about, and clearly us small landowners do too. And I think that we need to find a way to make it so that you can survive economically and keep the land that we all care about.
I've got a house in Brooktondale on half an acre and 16 acres out in Slaterville where I go with my tractors and grow trees. I'm a Republican tree hugger, but I only hug my own trees. To finish up what I got chopped off on here real quick. That fellow there was really sore at the gas companies because they came in and they made more of a mess getting to and from that pond and building that pond than he thought was necessary. And the lesson to be learned from that is, if you're going to sign a contract with these guys, read the fine print. And I'll put a plug in for the Tompkins County Landowners Coalition, who isn't here tonight, but that's what they are working with. As a wise man told me, that the property owner has the most to gain and the most to lose from this whole drilling operation.
Currently, Bill, I own no land. Yeah, but I don't know, I guess I'm interested. I've talked with my dad a little bit, and we kind of walked a certain area. I'm interested in getting about 15 acres, though, to start. I already have a name for it. So it's the old Munch Barn, but it's got a couple old, ratty barns on it. It's going to be Adventureland Farm. I look forward to it. It's got a nice little wood lot. It's got a little pond. I'm going to have some ducks. Maybe I'll get you a duck. So, that's all.
What about Toby? Next question.
What about Toby?
Oh, that's right. I keep getting confused, sorry.
I own 260 acres.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, the gentleman.
What about the possibility of intermunicipal cooperation, or do we just take care of ourselves, or do we try to work with